So here's my solution for reading the documentation, and one of the ways that I approach the documentation when I'm trying to figure something out is to first look at the examples to see if there's any examples, and then to also look at the index and see what different functions and what different methods and what different types are available. And what stands out to me when I look at all this is parse files and execute. Now, granted, my perspective is a little biased because I know what we're going to be using, but it does stand out to me. So here are some examples. We could go through and we could look at those, and we could see, okay, hey, look at how they're using stuff. Sometimes the examples are not all that clear. Sometimes they're super complex. All right, and then here's the index. So there's like a HTML escape and JS escape and URL query escaper. So that's kind of interesting. And then func map. So maybe mapping functions or something. And then we have type template. That's it. And we have a pointer to a template with all these methods. So if we have a pointer to a template, we have all these methods available. And to get a pointer to a template, we could use must, which takes a pointer to a template in an error. Well, hey, look at what parse files gives me a pointer to a template in an error, and parse glob gives me a pointer to a template in an error. And so if I take must and wrap that around parse files will return this, and that's exactly what this wants. So look, and that will give me a pointer to a template, but no error. So it looks like must means, hey, this must happen, or the program's just going to exit or something, right? But those things kind of fit together, puzzle pieces fitting together, little Lego blocks or whatever. And then new gives me a pointer to a template. So I could get a pointer to a template either with must or with new. And or right with these also, right, gives me a pointer to a template. I have to check the error. And then once I have a pointer to a template, I have all these different methods available. And so the different methods are like execute or execute template. And so, okay, and there's other ones in here, but those definitely jump out to me. So I'm going to go down and just read about some of these. And execute applies a parse template to the specified data object. So there's some data. And writes the output to WR, so writing output. If an error occurs executing the template or writing its output, execution stops, but partial results may already have been written to the output writer. Template may be executed safely in parallel, and returns an error. Well, I wonder if I could pass in like nil for data and then write it. So if I get a template, I could execute it and say, execute it, write it to this location, and I'm not passing any data, nil data. So that would be one way you could think about things. And you could compare execute to execute template, which just allows you to specify the name of the template. Otherwise, they're the same. And the other one, which was interesting, was must, right, up here. Must is a helper that wraps a call to a function returning template error and panics if the error is non-nil, so it panics. And it is intended for use in variable initialization, such as template must, template new, parse text. Interesting. So template new, and then we have parse on that, which is another way it might be able to be used. So that's just a good way to come into the documentation. Look at the examples, look at the index, start trying to see how things are connected. If you get this type, you have these methods. Do any of those methods look interesting? So that's a little bit of an overview, a little bit of a solution for that challenge I gave you in the previous example. And again, the intent of this is to help you learn kind of like your way around the documentation, Go documentation, the standard library, and how do you work with it.